Hi everyone, welcome to this quick beginner's tutorial on starting topology when using rounded objects like spheres and cylinders that will help you out with lodding later down the line. So if you're just creating artwork for renders, these values don't matter too much because you're quite unlikely to be lodding your models. But if you're creating models for games, then it's worth knowing these starting values as they can really help later on. So if you're new to 3D or new to 3D art to be used in games, lodding is a process where you create three or four versions of the same model, but each iteration is slightly reduced in poly count. The reason for this is when a model goes further away from the camera in a game, it becomes less important to retain all that detail in the model because it's getting smaller, and doing this will lower the demand on the game engine and allow you to render more objects as well and help out with performance. So LOD 0 is usually your highest detail model. This is usually used as mostly used as the model that's closest to the camera. Some games that I've worked on will just use LOD 0 for photo mode, intro videos or replays, and then we'll use the LOD 1 as the main game model. And then it carries on from there. LOD 2 will be slightly further away. There isn't really a set amount of LOD that you need to do to reduce the polys going from each LOD, but in a game engine, you usually have a set distance from when a model will change, and it's worth knowing that distance so when you begin to LOD, you're not lodding too much or lodding too little, really. So you want to be trying to optimize that as much as you can. So if you check these two cylinders, there isn't really much to them. There's just a cylinder with a bevel on top. So the top cylinder is made of 24 vertices around, and the bottom one is made of 28. When I say vertices around, if we create a cylinder in this little pop-up menu, this is what I mean. So a new beginner you think how many do you select around? Is there a correct amount? I've seen a lot of people just go for bigger is better. Let's delete that. So at first glance, there isn't really much difference apart from the lower cylinder is 44 polys more, which isn't much, but when you start cutting these down for LODs, you'll start looking for every single poly you can save, really. And it could become quite a tricky thing to do. So if we check out the LODs for each one of these that I've created, when the usual process for lodding is we'll select an edge and then go around and select every other edge like this, and we can collapse that down, and we want to be doing this all around the model. Basically cutting it down. You can, most of the time it will be every other, but with certain amounts of vertices around, you can do it on every other, so you can skip one out. Let's select the ring and collapse these down. There we go. It doesn't have to be every other, so it doesn't have to be nearly, you cut down half of the model. And so by doing that, we've got these. So by doing just that process, this 24 vertices cylinder can be cut down quite easily to 16 verts around, then 12, then 8, then 6. But if you were to use that same process on a cylinder that's 28 verts around, you can then only really go down to 14 and then 7, and then from there 7 we can't half 7, so we round it up to 4, which is basically a cube. And you can see the difference here with the LOD stage is quite drastic. We turn that off, you can just see that the 24 vert cylinder is a much better starting shape to LOD. So things that you can use this for it could be characters' arms, characters' legs, heads. I've used this quite a lot. I've worked on quite a few driving games, and we've done this for wheels and alloys, especially with roll cages on vehicles and stuff like that. Anything you can use a cylinder for, trees, this is worthwhile using this. So what are good values to start with? So I've made this little parts. Don't worry, it can be quite confusing at first, but anything that's in green is a good starting value. So as you can see here, the 24 can either be cut into 12 if you do every other collapse, or 16 if you do every second, every second or third, every other. Yeah, and that will basically cut down to 16, and we'll come down to this one. If you cut every other, it'll be this one. And then 16 can obviously turn into 8, and then 4, as you don't want to go too far. And ones that don't really work well, as you can see, is the 28. You go into 4 and 7. Again, 40 is not a great value because you can only really cut it down to 20. You can't cut it down by thirds, by every third. And then obviously I'll post this little image up for people to download and use as a reference, but I definitely recommend that 12, 16, 18, 24, 32, 36 and 48 are really good values to start with. I don't really start with any of these other values. So yeah, it's just a very, very quick tutorial on just vertices to start with, really. I hope this helps someone. Cool. So yeah, thanks for watching.